gracious good day to one and all once again. 'Tis I, Norton the First, by grace of God, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico. Back with you once again for episode number 68 of Emperor Norton's fantastic history vlog. Today is June 12th, 2020, and it is our 89th day under a shelter-in-place order here in San Francisco. Well, let's get on with our events today. First of all, as we always do, our national days. So today is Superman Day, the Man of Steel. Red Rose Day. Okay. A red rose, how romantic. Crowded Nest Awareness Day. Loving Day. More on that later, it'll make sense. National Peanut Butter Cookie Day. Have a peanut butter cookie. World Day Against Child Labor. I think we can all agree on that one, perhaps. Perhaps. Jerky Day. I don't know if that means you're supposed to act like a jerk or eat beef jerky. I'm not sure which. Or turkey jerky is healthier. And National Flip-Flop Day. I don't believe that involves politics necessarily, although some politicians certainly be accused of flip-flopping. I believe it's those sandals, those plastic sandals that were first popularized in Japan, brought to the United States in the 1950s. And depending upon what part of the country you come from, determines what you call them. Some call them flip-flops, some just call them sandals, some call them, as we do in California, especially Southern California, Zoris. That was the name of the first ones that were introduced in the United States from Japan. And a lot of World War II veterans found themselves wearing them when they were stationed in Japan and brought them back to the United States. That's how it got its name. Our San Francisco event today, and as usual, we rely on the book This Date in San Francisco by John Ralston. Thank you once again, John. Because it was on this date, on June 12th, 1959, the Postmaster General Arthur E. Summerfield bans D.H. Lawrence's unexpurgated Lady Chatterley's Lover from the mails, but you could still get it in San Francisco. Now, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but there's a San Francisco connection, as apparently there always is, that we'll talk about right here. David Herbert, D.H. Lawrence, was one of the 20th century's most influential and controversial English language authors. In a life of just 45 years, 1885 to 1930, he wrote novels, poetry, short stories, literary essays, painted besides. His fiction was intense with the sensual, reckless characters. Sex was primary. In an essay in posthumous editions of Lady Chatterley's Lover, his last and possibly best work, Lawrence deplored a contemporary, quote, stereotyped set of ideas, unquote, about sex. Ordinary publication of Lady Chatterley was, of course, impossible in Lawrence's time. After writing 3 versions, Lawrence wrote a watered-down one for publishers, but arranged private publication of the uncensored version, paying printing costs himself. It was lucrative, but as it could not be copyrighted because of anti-obscenity laws on both sides of the Atlantic, it could be printed, and it was. And was. For 29 years, uncensored versions were the only ones legally available. In 1959, Barney Rossett, owner of Grove Press, New York City, published Lawrence's original version. He risked prosecution, fine, even imprisonment, but an encouraging precedent had been set in San Francisco in 1959, where municipal judge Clayton Horn acquitted poet and bookstore owner Lawrence Ferlinghetti of obscenity for selling Allen Ginsberg's poem Howl. Grove began shipping copies of the uncensored Chatterley. The United States Post Office confiscated them on June 11th, 1959. Postmaster General Arthur E. Summerfield stated, quote, any literary merit the book may have is outweighed by the pornographic and smutty passages. Ugh. And so that book, taken as whole, is obscene and filthy work. Ooh, that's strong. As he says here, thanks Summerfield for sparing us the trouble of thinking for ourselves. He also declared advertising circulars to be non-mailable. Grove filed motions in federal court for a temporary injunction against New York prosecutor Robert Christenberry, stating, quote, we are faced here with government censorship in its most powerful, most obnoxious form. The District Court of Appeals upheld the decision. The post office could not prevent its distribution. The District Court of Appeals upheld the decision. The case had repercussions in the United Kingdom. Penguin Books printed an uncensored edition, went on trial for obscenity, and was acquitted. On June 12, 1959, the San Francisco Chronicle reported Summerfield's order to confiscate Chatterley. It added that it was available at just about all popular San Francisco bookstores, and the public library had ordered a copy. Possibly local authorities had taken a lesson from the Howard case. Censorship is a terrible thing, isn't it? Well, let's get on to other events in history from elsewhere than San Francisco. It was on this date in 1903 that the city of Niagara Falls, Ontario, incorporated as a city. Niagara Falls! Slowly I turn, step by step, inch by inch. You don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Three Stooges did a wonderful version, as did Abbott and Costello of that very old sketch. On this date in 1923, Harry Houdini freed himself from a straitjacket while suspended upside down 40 feet above the ground in New York City. 1931, Al Capone is indicted on 5,000 counts of prohibition and perjury. 1934, the Black-McKellar Bill passes, causing the breakup of William Boeing's empire into Boeing Aircraft and Boeing United Aircraft, that was the original company, into just Boeing and United Airlines. He owned both, and you can't do that. You can't have the production and then the company the production is used for. Of course, there were landmark cases involving studio ownership of movie theaters that talked about the same thing. On this date in 1942, Anne Frank gets her diary as a birthday present in Amsterdam. 1964, Nelson Mandela is sentenced to life in prison in South Africa. He was released in 1990. 1965, the Beatles are awarded the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, the MBE. 1965 also, Sonny and Cher make their first TV appearance on American Bandstand. 1967, in a landmark ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously ends laws against interracial marriages, a ruling in the case of Loving v. Virginia. And that is why it's Loving Day. It was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court that struck down laws banning interracial marriage as violations of the Equal Protection and Due Process Clauses of the 14th Amendment to the United States. The decision was followed by an increase in interracial marriages in the U.S. and is remembered annually on Loving Day today. It has been the subject of several songs, 3 movies, including the 2016 movie Loving, which I saw and was excellent. The case involved Mildred Loving, a woman of color, Native American and Black, and her white husband, Richard Loving, who in 1958 were sentenced to a year in prison for marrying each other. Well, they appealed it all the way to the Supreme Court and won. Good for them. Moving on. On this date in 1968 was the U.S. premiere of the horror film Rosemary's Baby. Ooh, that's a scary movie. 1987, U.S. President Ronald Reagan challenged Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down that wall, the Berlin Wall, and it came down 4 years later. Very sad observation today. 2016, a gunman opens fire at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, called the Pulse. Did a little verklempt talking about this. Killing 49, injuring 53, the worst mass shooting in the U.S. until that time. On June 12, 2016, Omar Mateen, a 20-year-old security guard, walked into the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, started shooting. He was later killed. He killed himself, rather, after a 3-hour standoff. Post was hosting a Latin night. Most of the victims were Hispanic. It is the deadliest incident in history of violence against LGBT people in the United States and the deadliest terrorist attack in the U.S. since the September 11 attacks in 2001. At the time, it was the deadliest mass shooting by a single gunman in the U.S., being surpassed a year later by the Las Vegas shooting. Well, our births today, in 1924, former President George H.W. Bush also served as vice president and had a number of positions in the government. was born in Milton, Massachusetts, 1929, of course, Anne Frank. And 1930, she'd be 91 today, by the way. 1930, golly, Jim Neighbors from Gomer Pyle and, of course, the Andy Griffith Show. And 1951, drummer for the band Cheap Trick, Bun E. Carlos. Our deaths today. 1983, film star Norma Shear. 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and ex-wife of O.J. Simpson and Ron Goldman were brutally murdered. I guess O.J. is still looking for the real killers, isn't he? Mm-hmm. And in 2003, we lost actor Gregory Peck. Well, that wraps it up for this edition. Hopefully the audio is a little better today. We have a new microphone, as well as the one that we wear as a lavalier. You can see it here. Well, let us know. Leave your comments below. Also, check out our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All those things can be found on our website, links to them. If you go to sftimemachine.com, click on the link for Emperor Norton's fantastic San Francisco Time Machine, also San Francisco Food Safari, and Drag Me Along tours, the Countess's splendid tour. There she is right there. And you'll get more information about all that. Well, until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy. Try to stay inside, but you can go outside some now. But if you do, practice social distancing. Wear a mask. We're seeing far too few people wearing masks. Most of all, though, be kind to one another. Black Lives Matter. Until we see you again, a gracious good day.